You're here because you want to sound fluent in English, you want to sound natural, and you want to understand natives in the real world. Let me help you do that today. In this lesson, you'll learn 176 everyday conversation words, idioms, and phrases. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Let's start this masterclass with the 16 most common adverbs. The most common adverb that natives use in our daily speech is actually. Actually. This is used to correct, clarify, or add surprising information. I hear a lot of students use this adverb, but they're not using it correctly. Now, when you're learning adverbs, you also need to pay attention to where they come in the sentence. So I'll share the different placements naturally in the examples I give you. Now, remember that actually is used to clarify or correct information. So let's say someone says, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" But you want to clarify or correct the assumption that you like coffee. So you can start with actually, I don't drink coffee anymore. Or again, maybe someone asks you, when are you calling Sarah? But you want to correct or clarify this and say, actually, she called me this morning. You can place this adverb before the main verb and say, I actually like working early in the morning.
People have actually been working on this for like decades.
Natives commonly use this in the end position. So maybe someone asks you, how long have you known John? And you want to correct or clarify this. We just met. Actually. So you can add it at the end. So as we go through this lesson, notice the placement of the adverbs. And don't worry about taking notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Before we go on to our next adverb, you may be thinking, Jennifer, what is an adverb? Adverbs modify or describe verbs, adjectives, and entire sentences. They answer how or to what degree. So you can say she spoke, but if you want to answer how or to what degree, you can add an adverb to modify the verb and say she spoke quietly, quickly, or forcefully, which of course changes the idea quite a lot. Now also notice that most adverbs end in ly. And if you want to ask me questions about this or other confusing grammar topics, and if you want to submit written and spoken exercises for personalized feedback and correction, you can do that when you join my premium coaching program, the Finally Fluent Academy. You can find the link in the description to learn more. Our next adverb is hardly. Pay attention to this one because this means almost not or very little.
There's hardly any geological activity on Mars.
You can say hardly anyone applied for the job. This means almost nobody applied. Or notice this sentence, I hardly worked this weekend. If you say this, it means you worked very little. Now compare this to I worked hard this weekend. This means I worked a lot, so don't confuse those two. In this example, hard is an adjective, not an adverb. Or you might say she hardly sleeps now that she's a mom. Again, this means she sleeps very little. Now, hardly and barely have the same meaning and they're synonymous. They're both very commonly used. So you can say, I hardly worked this weekend, I barely worked this weekend. Let's review honestly. This is used to show sincerity or mild frustration. So you might say, honestly, I don't know what to get my sister for her birthday. But maybe you say it with some frustration and say, honestly, he should have told us earlier. So in that case, it's really the tone that will let you know if you're just being sincere, honest, or if you're slightly frustrated. And hopefully you're being honest when you say, I honestly love learning English with JForrest English. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Let's say you're at a friend's house and you spilled your coffee. You say, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, I spilled my coffee on your new rug." And your friend graciously says, "It's not a big deal, honestly." It's not a big deal, honestly. So adding it at the end is common in casual speech. And then they provide the reason why it won't stain.
Honestly, the answer is complex.
Basically is very commonly used. This means in simple terms or the most important point, or it can also mean for the most part. You can say basically we need more time. So if you had to take all the information and summarize it to one thing, basically we need more time.
Basically, I've turned stress into the enemy.
Or you can say, basically, he forgot to email them. So there may be many reasons why the client is mad, but the most important point, if you had to summarize it, you can say, basically, he forgot to email them. You can say, she's basically done with the project. This means for the most part. There might be one or two minor things left, but she's basically done, 95% done. Or you can say the client wanted a cheaper option, basically. Again, maybe there are many things the client wanted, but the most important is a cheaper option. And notice I added it at the end, which sounds more conversational and slightly more casual. Now let's review literally. This adverb is used a lot by native speakers. Some may even argue too much because it can be used as a word filler, but it is very important as an adverb. It means in a real, exact way.
Without him, I never could have played Joe Biden, literally.
So if you're describing a problem, you can say the handle literally fell off the door as I turned it. So you're letting the person know this is exactly what happened. I'm not exaggerating it. You can put it at the beginning and say literally the handle fell off the door as I turned it. Or again, you can put it at the end to sound more casual and say the handle fell off the door as I turned it. Literally. This is exactly what happened. Now, native speakers often use it for emphasis, but not in a real exact way. So a lot of native speakers will say things like, I literally can't keep my eyes open. But this simply means that I'm really tired. But they say, I literally can't keep my eyes open. But that's not actually true because you can. You're just exaggerating. Or a native speaker might say, I'm so hungry, I could literally eat everything in the fridge. But again, of course, that isn't true exactly. You're not going to open the fridge and eat everything. It's just a way to exaggerate how hungry you are. Now let's review seriously. This is used to show importance, frustration, or disbelief, and it just depends on the context. So I might say, seriously, you need to subscribe to JForrest English. I want you to understand the importance of this, and seriously, you should. Or maybe you might say with mild frustration or disbelief, they seriously underestimated her. Or you can say, it's the best movie I've seen. Seriously. So in this case, you're again emphasizing that point. You're showing the importance of it.
I'm taking this way too seriously right now.
Let's review virtually. Virtually. This means almost or nearly completely. Virtually everyone disagreed with the plan. So almost everyone disagreed with the plan. Maybe there was one person out of 20 that didn't, but you can still use virtually. Or you might be describing a mall, a restaurant, a cafe, and say the place was virtually empty. So this is like saying the place was almost empty. Yes, maybe there was one person in the cafe, but at lunchtime on a Friday, you expected it to be busy.
When still, shorebirds like this dunlin virtually disappear.
Now maybe you want to emphasize the importance of this and say, seriously, the place was virtually empty. You absolutely can use multiple adverbs together. Or maybe your friend would say, becoming fluent alone is virtually impossible. It's almost impossible. Yes, some students can do it, but not the majority. It's virtually impossible. And that's why you should seriously subscribe. Let's review obviously. Obviously. This is in a way that's easy to see or understand. I use this adverb a lot, but sometimes I get in trouble when I use it because I use it somewhat sarcastically or with frustration, and my husband doesn't appreciate when I say obviously to him.
Obviously, I've had a lot of time to think about it.
So you may say, obviously, we need to fix this bug before the client arrives. But again, if your boss or your colleague says that to you, there may be a hint of frustration or a sense of, why are you even asking me this? Obviously, we need to do this. Or maybe if you're describing someone's performance, you can say, she didn't spend much time preparing for the interview, obviously. That's easy to see because she did a poor job answering our questions. Now, you can also use this to strengthen a statement and say, that's obviously not true. So if someone is trying to tell you something, but there's clear evidence to the contrary, you can say that's obviously not true. And here's an example where I use it and then my husband reminds me that maybe it wasn't the best choice on my part. He comes in and says, do you need help with dinner? In a very nice, helpful way. But I'm busy doing 10 things at once. And I turn to him and I say, obviously, clearly it's easy to see. So be careful when you use this. Let's review especially. Especially, this means more than others and it's used to emphasize. So you can say, I love sushi, but then you want to emphasize one specific type of sushi and say, especially salmon rolls.
The area became especially sacred to the Lakota people.
Or we love the movie, especially the ending. So the entire movie was great, but there's one part that you want to emphasize, the ending, especially the ending. Or you can say sleep is especially important for new moms. So notice here, sleep is important for new moms. Important is an adjective. Remember, adverbs can modify adjectives to make it stronger. Sleep is especially important for new moms. It's important for everyone, but especially new moms. Let's review apparently. Apparently. This is based on what seems to be true, but keep in mind, it's not verified.
Which is apparently very, very, very small.
So if your coworker says, apparently the meeting was canceled, you should still confirm, because if your coworker used apparently, they're letting you know, I think this is true, but I'm not 100% positive. So if you want to guess at a reason or motivation, you can say she apparently didn't get the message. Again, not verified. Or in gossip, they're breaking up, apparently, because you don't know this to be true 100%. Let's review probably. Probably. This means more than a 50% chance. So why didn't Ted update the Excel? Probably he forgot. He probably forgot. He forgot, probably. So notice those different placements. And this is saying, well, I'm just guessing, and there's a 50% chance I'm right, but then there's also a 50% chance I'm wrong. So if someone says to you, I'll probably come to your party, that's not a good sign.
You'd probably be a little stressed out.
And when sharing plans, but you want to make it sound like you're undecided, you can say, we'll probably just stay home all weekend. Now, what you want to hear in many cases is definitely, definitely. This means for sure, without question, 100%. I'll definitely come to your party. That's what you want to hear. So if I ask you, are you going to watch my next video? I want you to just say definitely. You can say that one word, put it in the comments, or you can add the full sentence, definitely, I'll watch it. your next video? I'll definitely watch it. I'll watch it, definitely.
We definitely didn't do this the correct way.
Let's review. Absolutely. This is for strong agreement. It's very similar to definitely. So you can say absolutely, I'll help, or I absolutely agree with you. Now, definitely, you're expressing certainty about events or actions, and absolutely, you're showing strong emphasis, agreement, or intensity of feeling or opinion. An important adverb for you is frequently. Frequently. This means happening often or repeatedly.
It's frequently a close call, as it was this time.
You can use this at the beginning. Frequently, my students ask me how to permanently remember vocabulary. I get this question a lot, repeatedly. Or my students frequently ask me for lessons on phrasal verbs. Again, every day I see this request. Or you can say he travels for work frequently. Now, frequently is a key word for the present simple. So those three examples were in the present simple. Let's review immediately. Immediately, this means right away without delay. Immediately call the doctor if you feel unwell. So there's a sense of urgency in this. Or you can say, I immediately started working on the project. Now, if someone asks you, can you make sure the boardroom is set up before the meeting? If you want to show a sense of urgency, you can reply back and say, I'll do that immediately. So that's a great adverb for you to use if you want to express urgency.
He immediately went home, which took him a lot of time.
Let's review eventually. Eventually. This means in the end, after some time or delay. So you can say, eventually she found a new assistant.
Eventually, he landed a six-figure job at a blue-chip tech company in Dallas.
When you use this, it sounds like it took her some time, longer than expected, to find a new assistant. So again, adverbs are very important because they express meaning. If you say he eventually agreed to the plan, it sounds like at the beginning he disagreed or he had a different idea and it took some convincing. Or if you say we got to the airport eventually, you know there's a story. There's a story about missed taxis, late Ubers, awful traffic, you forgot your passport. There's some sort of story involved. Amazing job. Now let's move on to the 16 most common adjectives. Our first adjective is open. Open. Right now you're saying, Jennifer, of course I know what open means. It's not closed. It's allowing access. The window is open. The store is open until 9 p.m. Yes, of course you know this adjective. But what if I said she's open to new ideas, even if they challenge her?
We need to be open to different perspectives.
Do you know what this means? Well, in this context, in this advanced context, open means willing, receptive, or flexible about ideas, experiences, or change. It's a very positive adjective to describe someone as being open. She's open to new ideas, even if they challenge her. Or you might say, we're open to moving abroad. Now, did you notice that sentence structure? We have to be, she is, we are. The verb to be conjugated, and then your adjective open, but you're not done. You still need to, which functions as a preposition. So following a preposition, you can use a noun, new ideas, or a gerund, moving abroad. So thinking about this adjective and the sentence structure, I hope you're thinking, I'm open to speaking English in public, which means you're willing to do that. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Right now, if you're thinking, Jennifer, what is an adjective? It is simply a word that is used to describe or give more information about a noun or a pronoun. The adjective provides information such as what kind, which one, or how much. Now for placement, it's commonly used before a noun. So you might say the open window let in the breeze. So you're describing the window. But it can also come after a linking verb. The window is, that's your linking verb, and then your adjective, open. It still describes the window, but it comes after. Those are the two common placements. And as you'll learn in this lesson, one adjective, like open, can have literal and abstract meanings depending on context. Our next adjective is closed. Of course, you know that this means not open or shut. The window is closed. The store is closed today. Now, just like with open, this has an advanced meaning that means not willing to discuss, accept, or change. But you need to add another word. You need to say closed-minded. So instead of just saying closed, you say closed-minded. My boss is so closed-minded, which means he's not willing to consider new ideas.
Number 2, it causes you to be closed-minded.
It's also very common to take open and simply make that negative. So the structure is to be, not open to, and then a noun or gerund. So you might say, even though the position is much better, my husband isn't open to moving abroad. Let's review on. Of course, the basic meaning is operating. The TV is on, or you can say, leave the light on. In an advanced way, this means active, happening, or in progress. So native speakers very commonly will send a text message or call someone and ask, are we still on tonight? Are we still on tonight? So this means we had some sort of plan, maybe to go to the movie, and I want to confirm that plan is still happening. Are we still on tonight?
Hey, are we still on for the Beyonce concert Friday night?
This is also commonly used in a professional context. The meeting is on for next week. This means the meeting is happening. It's confirmed. Let's review off. Of course, in a basic way, not operating. The light is off. The TV was off when I got home. In an advanced way, this means not right or strange. It's very common to say something like, she's been acting a little off lately. She's been acting a little off lately. So if I record my next video and I'm not smiling at all, and I'm speaking very softly with no emotion the entire video, you might say, Jennifer's a little off.
Like if Sean is acting a little bit off, I can check in with him.
Or to express some doubt about something, if an explanation doesn't seem right or it seems strange, you can say something feels off about that story or about that explanation. Or we can use this in a cooking context. I always ask my husband, does the fish smell off to you? For some reason, I'm very paranoid about eating fish that isn't fresh. So I always ask, does the fish smell off to you? Which means strange, not right. Let's review messy, messy. Hopefully you know in a basic way, this means not clean or organized. I can say, please ignore my messy desk if I have papers on my desk everywhere. Or I can say the kitchen got messy after dinner. In an advanced way, this means complicated or emotionally difficult, and native speakers use this a lot. You might say, she's going through a messy breakup. So you can say she's going through a breakup because adjectives are not required. They give additional information, in this case about the breakup. A breakup is when a relationship, a romantic relationship, permanently ends. Describing it as messy means it's complicated. There's a lot of emotions involved. A messy breakup.
She's going through a really messy breakup.
Or you might say, I'm in a messy situation. So again, I'm in a situation The adjective provides more information. I'm in a messy situation at work. My best friend and I are both applying for the promotion. So that makes things complicated and emotionally complicated. Let's review random. Random. In a basic way, this means without a pattern. So you can say the numbers were completely random. 1, 7, 300, 14 million. It's random. Or the songs are playing in a random order, not a specific order. In a more advanced way, this means unexpected or out of context. This word is part of my daily speech. I might say something like, he showed up at my office totally random. Totally random. It means I wasn't expecting him, and it was also quite unusual for him. He's not someone that normally would come to my office, so even without a specific appointment, it was unexpected. Totally random. Or if your friend says to you, I signed up for an archery class, you might reply back and say, that's random, because your friend has never expressed any interest in archery or taking a new class, so it is out of context, unexpected. That's random.
I was dropped on my head as a kid. That's so random.
Let's review supportive. Supportive. In a basic way, this means physically holding something up or helping it stay in place. I might say the chair has a supportive back, so it physically holds up my back. Or these shoes are very supportive, so they keep my foot in a supportive way. In an advanced way, this means emotionally or personally encouraging someone. My manager was very supportive during my training. So my manager encouraged me, said positive things, made me feel like I was capable, supportive.
Everyone was always very supportive.
Or you might say it's easier to take risks when the people around you are supportive. Let's review practical. Practical. In a basic way, this means focused on what works in real life, not theory. We need a practical solution, not a perfect one. So one that works in the real world based on our situation. And I always give my students practical example sentences. I give you sentences that you can take what I said and use it in the real world, and you will sound natural because the example is practical. Now, in an advanced way, this means realistic, sensible, and not overly emotional or idealistic. She's very practical about money and budgeting. So this means the way she manages her money and her budgeting, which is how she allocates her money, is based in reality, not theory. So it has the same meaning as the basic one, but it's just the way we use it is in a slightly different context. Or I might say, let's be practical. We don't have enough time to do everything.
It is a very practical idea that we can do tomorrow.
Let's review rough. Rough. Notice that f sound, rough. In a basic way, this means not smooth. So I can say my hands are so rough from the dry weather. Or this fabric feels rough, so not smooth. In an advanced way, this means difficult or unpleasant. Hopefully, you're familiar with this. It's quite common. I had a rough week. Have you heard that before? I had a rough week. I had a difficult week. I had a challenging week. I had a rough week.
Oh, I'm having a rough week.
Or you can say the meeting was rough. The meeting was rough. It was challenging. It was difficult. I also commonly use this as a reply when someone shares a situation that sounds challenging or difficult. So if my friend says, I have to work a 12-hour shift tonight, maybe she's a nurse, and I reply back and say, oh, that's rough. That's rough. That's difficult. That's challenging. That's rough. Let's review tight. You may know that this means firmly fixed, not loose. Make sure the screws are tight. Or this lid is so tight, I can't get it off. In an advanced way, this means limited or strict. So you can say, I'm on a tight schedule today. Have you said that before? I'm on a tight schedule today. This means you have very limited time to do the things that you need to get done.
It was on a very tight schedule.
Or you might say, money's a little tight this month. Have you heard a native say that? Money's a little tight this month. It means it's limited. You need to be strict on the way you allocate it, you use it. Money's a little tight. Let's review heavy. Of course, you know this means weighing a lot. This box is heavy. Or it took 2 of us to carry the heavy suitcase. So here you're describing the suitcase. In an advanced way, this means serious or emotionally intense. You might say, that was a heavy conversation. If you and your friend sit down and you talk about what your life will be like in 50 years, or what might happen in the future if one of you gets an illness, that's a heavy conversation. That's a serious conversation. Or maybe you say the lecture addresses heavy topics. So heavy topics could be topics that are quite serious, controversial, highly debated, heavy topics.
I know this topic can feel a little heavy.
The opposite of heavy is light. In the basic way, of course, not heavy. This suitcase is light. She prefers light bags when traveling. And in the advanced way is also the opposite. So it means not serious, more relaxed. So if your friend wants to have a heavy conversation about a war taking place, you might say, let's keep the conversation light. Let's keep the conversation light. So not serious.
The first thing I would tell you to do is go into that party and just make light conversation with everybody.
Or you might say, I prefer light comedies to heavy dramas. When you're talking about your movie preferences or even your book preferences. Let's review flat. In a basic way, this means smooth without curves. We need a flat surface to organize the photos. Or we got a flat tire and missed our flight. So in this case, a flat tire is a tire where the air is out because of a puncture or a hole. Now, in an advanced way, this means dull, lacking emotion. His voice sounded flat. So when you speak in a monotone way, which means there's no rise and fall to your voice, you can describe that as flat. You can also say the joke fell flat, which means he was trying to be funny when he shared his joke, but nobody laughed. So it ended up being dull. It fell flat.
Fell flat on its face.
Let's review loose. Notice that pronunciation. Oose, loose, loose. This means not tight. So I might say, that shirt is too loose. Or watch out for the loose wires. So there could be wires hanging down because they're not tight, they're loose. In an advanced way, this means relaxed or informal. The rules are pretty loose here. So maybe you're a new employee and there are a lot of company rules, but then your coworker says, the rules are pretty loose here, which means they don't enforce the rules that seriously. They're more relaxed about the rules. Or you can say, we have a loose plan, which means your plan is just an idea. You have some ideas, but it's more relaxed. You're willing to consider other things. You're open to other ideas. You're open to doing something differently. We have a loose plan.
So when we went to Costa Rica, we had a really loose plan.
Let's review sharp. Of course, in a basic way, if something is sharp, it means that it's able to cut. Be careful, that knife is sharp. The scissors are really sharp. In an advanced way, this means intelligent or quick. She's very sharp. He gave a sharp answer. I'm snapping because that's how fast the person was able to answer a difficult question. She's very sharp.
But it does pose some really sharp questions.
Let's review wild. Wild. In a basic way, this means not controlled, natural. Wild animals live here. So again, animals live here. Wild is the adjective. It describes the animals. Wild animals. Or you can say the forest is full of wild plants. In an advanced way, this means extreme or surprising. So you can say that party was wild. I know you had a great night and you probably have some stories to tell. It definitely was not a dull party. That party was wild. Or if someone shares an idea with you, maybe they say, what if we quit our jobs and move abroad? And you say, that's a wild idea. That's a wild idea. I really love this adjective in the more advanced way.
But my friends and I became obsessed with a wild idea.
Let's keep going and you'll learn 25 idioms to describe personality. Number 1, a people person. This is a must-know idiom. This is someone who enjoys interacting with others and is good at building relationships. For example, Jason is a real people person. So notice here, I'm using real to modify it, to intensify it. And don't forget that article, a people person. So he always makes everyone feel welcome.
I'm a people person.
Or you can say we need a people person for this customer service position. Number 2, a go-getter. I love this one. It describes me, and I'm sure it describes you. A go-getter is someone who is ambitious and takes initiative to achieve their goals. For example, the team hired him because he's a go-getter. He is. So notice you need the verb to be conjugated with your subject and time reference. He is, he's a go-getter. Or you can say, I like working with go-getters. So notice here, I added that S to the noun to make it the whole category of people with go-getters because they push projects forward.
He's a go-getter.
Or maybe you're thinking, I'm a real go-getter when it comes to improving my English fluency. Does that describe you? If it does, put that's me, put that's me in the comments. Number 3, I'm sure this describes you as well, a smart cookie. So this is someone who is intelligent or clever, someone who is smart, but you can just add cookie to make it sound more casual and fun. Emma is a smart cookie. She solved that complex problem in no time.
Yeah, she was a smart cookie.
Or you're a smart cookie. If you can figure out how to make that deal work. So notice, this is conditional. Number 4, a social butterfly. This is someone who is very outgoing and enjoys socializing with others. I wouldn't say that describes me, to be honest. At the party, Noor was a social butterfly, talking to everyone in the room. Or you can say as a. This is a very powerful structure, so remember this, and I'll show you more examples as we go on. As a, and then any of these idioms. As a social butterfly. Pedro always knows what's happening around the office. Number 5, a couch potato. You may know this one. It doesn't describe me. Hopefully, it doesn't describe you. This is someone who spends a lot of time sitting and watching TV or being inactive. So generally, when we say someone is a couch potato, it's a negative. We're calling them lazy. So you might say, I used to be a couch potato. So that is in the past, but not the present. But now I enjoy going to the gym. Or you might use the imperative in the negative and say, don't be a couch potato. Let's go for a walk after lunch. So the opposite behavior of a couch potato. Number 6, a jack of all trades. Do you know this one? This is very common. This is a person who is skilled in many different areas, but not necessarily an expert in one of those areas. For example, my uncle is a jack of all trades. He can repair computers, fix plumbing issues, and cook gourmet dinners. Or remember that as a. Don't forget that article if it's a singular. So in this case, it is because it's a jack. As a jack of all trades. She's able to communicate to every department in the company. So notice you have Jack, which is a male's name in North America, but this idiom is gender neutral. You can use it with males and females. Number 7, a straight shooter. This is a positive idiom. It's someone who is honest and straightforward. So straightforward in the sense that they tell you information directly. I appreciate working with Peter. He's a straight shooter. Or the manager is a straight shooter. She gives constructive criticism directly. Number 8, a big shot. Do you know this one? This is a person of great importance or influence in a particular field or organization. Now, you might say to your friend or colleague, don't be intimidated by him because he's a big shot. So you might think that someone who is a big shot isn't a people person, isn't approachable, but don't be intimidated.
Oh, Ken Park's such a big shot.
Or you can say, Evelyn's been acting like a big shot since she got promoted. In this case, it sounds negative. So it sounds like she's acting like she's more important than everyone else because she got promoted. So notice that verb in this case, acting like a big shot. Number 9, set in one's ways. This is someone who is resistant to change and prefers things to remain the same. Does that describe you? My grandmother is set in her ways. So notice it needs to be possessive to the person. And here's an example of how she's set in her ways. She still refuses to use a smartphone. Or he's so set in his ways, and don't forget that S, it's always S on ways, that he instantly dismisses any new ideas. So if he dismisses them, it means he doesn't consider them. He just says no. Number 10, a worrywart. Hopefully this doesn't describe you. This is someone who worries excessively, so a lot, about things often unnecessarily. So you might say, don't tell Sarah that the client didn't like the presentation. She's such a worrywart. So she'll worry about it tonight, tomorrow, a month from now, even though it's not a big deal.
Oh, Herbert, you're such a worrywart.
Or you might tell your friend, your sister, your husband, don't be a worrywart. The project isn't due for weeks, so they're staying up at night worried because they're a worrywart. Number 11, a cheapskate. A cheapskate. Have you heard this one? This is someone who is unwilling to spend money or is very frugal. This has a negative sound to it. For example, Tim brings his own popcorn to the movies. He's a cheapskate. Or don't be a cheapskate. So again, that imperative in the negative. Don't be a cheapskate. The more expensive one will last longer. Number 12, a cold fish. This is the opposite of a people person and the opposite of a social butterfly. This is someone who is emotionally distant or unfriendly. Dan may seem like a cold fish, but I think he's just shy.
He's a cold fish.
Or he can be a cold fish sometimes, especially in large groups. Number 13, a backseat driver. Maybe you've been a backseat driver or you've experienced this. This is someone who gives unwanted advice or tries to control a situation. So you can say, stop being a backseat driver, you're making me nervous.
Nobody likes the backseat driver, Klaus.
Now this is very commonly used when someone is actually driving and then the person beside you or in the back seat says, turn left, change lanes, go here, don't drive so fast. That's being a backseat driver. But you can also use this in a non-driving context. For example, stop being a backseat driver and let me handle the presentation my way. So this is someone who's trying to tell you, change this, do this, add this, but you don't want their advice. Number 14, a busybody. This is someone who is overly interested in other people's personal or private matters. You could say, I wish my neighbor would stop being such a busybody. So if you have a fence that divides your property, maybe your neighbor is always trying to look over your fence. That's a busybody. Or you can say, if you keep acting like a busybody, nobody will want to work with you. Number 15, a wet blanket. Hopefully this doesn't describe you. This is someone who dampens the mood or kills the fun. For example, it's only 9 p.m. and you want to go home. Don't be such a wet blanket. So you're having fun at the party, but your friend, your cousin, your spouse says, oh, I'm tired, let's go. So they're dampening the mood, they're killing the fun.
I'm a wet blanket.
You can say, I don't want to be a wet blanket, but we need to discuss why our sales are down. So having a negative discussion can dampen the mood, but sometimes you need to have those tough conversations. Number 16, a loose cannon. You don't want this person on your team. This is someone who is unpredictable and can cause trouble unintentionally. You can say he's a bit of a loose cannon. So a bit of is reducing it. It's making it less intense. We never know what he'll do next. So he's unpredictable, but his actions can have negative consequences. Or you can say a few members of the team are loose cannons. So here, notice because I have a few members, that's plural, so I need to add my S to the noun, loose cannons. They never follow protocols, which are the instructions. Number 17, do you know this one? A bull in a china shop. This probably describes me. This is someone who is very clumsy or careless, especially in delicate situations. Now, in this case, china refers to delicate porcelain or ceramics, not the country. You could say, don't ask Sarah to help you move. She's like a bull in a china shop. So notice here, I'm using to be like a and then the idiom, which means she's careless. She might break your items as she's helping you move. That probably describes me. Or you can say, I never go into antique shops. I'm like a bull in a china shop. So I might accidentally knock something over that's very valuable. Again, that describes me. Number 18, a dark horse. This is someone or something that is not well known, but has the potential to surprise or succeed.
Talk about a dark horse.
This is often used in competitions, political, sports. He was a dark horse in the competition, but in the end, he won first place. So he was not well known, but then he won. Or you can say she's a dark horse. No one expected her to be promoted so quickly. Number 19, a lone wolf. This is someone who prefers to work alone and doesn't like being part of a group. Here's that structure with as. As a lone wolf, he prefers handling projects on his own.
I'm a lone wolf.
Or you can say the lone wolf approach doesn't work in our company. We value teamwork and collaboration. Number 20, a know-it-all. Oh, you don't want to be this. This is someone who behaves as though they know everything and refuses to listen to others. So again, because this is a negative, you could use the imperative in the negative. Don't. Don't act like. You could say don't be, or you can use to act like. Don't act like a know-it-all. You need to listen to other ideas before making a decision. Or you can say, I don't want to seem like a know-it-all, but I have experience with this issue. 21, a creature of habit. You probably know this one, so let's make sure you feel comfortable using it. This is someone who prefers routines and does things in the same way all the time. This definitely describes me. Amelia is a creature of habit, so she won't like these new changes. In this case, that sounds more negative, that the person isn't open to change. So in that case, it doesn't describe me, but this next one does. As a creature of habit, I've been eating the same breakfast for over 10 years. This is true. Ask my husband. He is sick of oatmeal every day, but that's what we have. Number 22, a breath of fresh air. This is someone or something that is new, refreshing, and brings positive change. You can say working with Emily has been a breath of fresh air. So she brings new ideas to every meeting. She brings a new perspective, new energy, new personality. She's a breath of fresh air, and this is positive. You can say after the long meeting, the interactive presentation, so something was a breath of fresh air and lifted everyone's spirits. So it was a welcome change. 23, a stickler. I like this one. Now you can say a stickler for the rules. That's the full idiom, but most natives, we drop the for the rules and just say stickler. This is someone who insists on following rules strictly and doesn't like bending them. So bending them means changing them slightly if the consequence doesn't seem extreme. For example, Greg is such a stickler, he won't even let us leave 5 minutes early. So in this case, although the shift ends at 5, does it really matter if people leave at 4:55 on a Friday? So you bend the rules. You let people leave 5 minutes early, but Greg will not because he's a stickler. Or you could say, I'm a manager now, so I need to be a stickler. I need to enforce the rules. It's my job. Number 24, this is for all the parents, a class clown. This is a person, usually a child, who is always joking or causing trouble in a funny way. But we generally use this with kids in school. For example, my son was a complete class clown. So complete intensifies it, a complete class clown. But now he's a big shot on Wall Street. Or you can say often kids act like class clowns because they're bored or unengaged. And idiom 25, a tough nut to crack. This is someone or something that is difficult to understand or deal with. You can say Tim is a tough nut to crack. It's hard to get him to open up. So to open up, that means to be honest about how he's feeling or the real details of his life, to open up. Or you can say the team has been trying to solve this issue for weeks. The issue is a tough nut to crack. So it's difficult to solve or understand. Now let's move on and you'll learn 25 business English phrases to help you sound professional and natural. Our first phrase, I'm on board with that. This is used when you agree or you want to express your support for a suggestion or an idea. For example, we're on board, we are, the verb to be, we're on board with, that preposition with, We're on board with the new strategy for increasing sales. And don't forget to conjugate that verb to be with your subject and time reference.
I'm on board.
Next, are we on the same page? This is used to confirm that everyone has the same understanding, opinion, or viewpoint. After our discussion, it seems like we're on the same page. We all have the same opinion, understanding, or viewpoint. And to specify what that something is, you can say regarding the project timeline. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Next, it's a win-win situation. This is a situation where all parties benefit, all parties win. I could say subscribing to JForrest English is a win-win situation. I win by growing my YouTube channel and you win by getting all of these free video lessons to help you become fluent. So put win-win, win-win, put win-win in the comments below.
It's a win-win.
Our next phrase, I could ask, what are your thoughts on this? This is used to request someone's opinion or feedback. You can identify something specific and say, what are your thoughts on the new marketing strategy? Remember, you can replace the noun, the new marketing strategy, with this if it's obvious. Next, we need to think outside the box. Have you heard this one? To think outside the box. This is to encourage creative thinking, innovative thinking. If you're trying to solve a difficult problem, you might say thinking outside the box is the only way we'll solve this problem. You need innovative, creative solutions.
All right, everybody start thinking outside the box.
Next, I love this one. Let's circle back to that later. When you circle back to something, it means you stop discussing it now and you suggest that you discuss it later. So you postpone your discussion until later. You could say, we only have 10 minutes left, so let's circle back to this, whatever this is, your discussion about the marketing campaign, thinking outside the box. Let's circle back to this later. Let's postpone it now and discuss it later. Notice the grammar. This is in the imperative. It's often the case because we use this as an instruction or a suggestion.
Let's circle back to Dina.
Our next phrase, we need to prioritize our tasks. If you prioritize something, it means you organize it based on importance and urgency. So the most important or the most urgent at the top of your list of to-dos because it's prioritized. It's the most important. This is a common situation. We don't have enough time to complete everything, so let's prioritize our tasks. I love this one. Please keep me in the loop. Do you know this one? Native speakers love using it. This is used to request that information or updates be shared as they happen. I could say, I'm taking tomorrow off, but please keep me in the loop on the project. Notice grammatically, this is the imperative because I'm giving you an instruction or a suggestion. You can add please at the beginning or the end of the imperative to sound more polite.
Well, good. Keep me in the loop on that.
Next, have they ironed out the details? This is used to ask if something has been resolved or clarified. For example, we need to iron out the contract details before the meeting. And notice that pronunciation in the past simple, ironed out, ironed out, ironed out. Phrase 10, I'm all ears. This is used to express your openness and willingness to listen. I could say, if you have any suggestions for improving this YouTube channel, I'm all ears. I'm open and willing to listen to your suggestions, and that is 100% true. So please share your suggestions in the comments.
I'm all ears.
Next, let's take a step back. This is when you pause to review a situation or decision. Our marketing campaign didn't work. Let's take a step back. Let's pause what we're doing, working on the marketing campaign, to review it, to make sure it is the right strategy. Let's take a step back. Notice this is also in the imperative for instructions or suggestions. This is a great one. I beg to differ. I beg to differ. Use this when you disagree with someone's opinion or statement. Your coworker could say, the marketing campaign didn't work because we didn't think outside the box. You could say, I beg to differ, which means I don't agree. I beg to differ. The campaign was great, it was our execution that failed.
I beg to differ.
Next, I'll cut to the chase. This is when you say your main point directly, without small talk, without additional details. For example, I'll cut to the chase, you're not getting the promotion. Notice grammatically, the expression is in the future simple. I will cut to the chase, I'll cut to the chase, even though the information you're delivering is now. I'll cut to the chase, you're not getting the promotion. This is a great one. Run it by the team first. This is when you share ideas for feedback and approval. I think it's a great idea, but you should run it by Frank first. You should share it with Frank to get his feedback and approval. And why should you do that? Because our next phrase, Frank calls the shots. This is to say that someone is in charge. They have the authority to make decisions. You should run your idea by Frank because he calls the shots. Notice it's the shots, it's always plural.
I call the shots.
Our next phrase, the ball's in Frank's court. This is used to say it's someone else's responsibility to make a decision, in this case, Frank. Maybe you're talking to your coworkers and someone asks you, should we hire Jennifer as our English teacher? And you don't want to make that decision. So you can say the ball's in your court to give responsibility for that decision to someone else. Remember to conjugate the verb to be because it's the ball is, the ball is in your court.
The ball's in your court.
Next, we need to nip this in the bud. This is an important one because it's when you stop a problem at the early stages before it becomes permanent or more serious. Let's say you have a new policy for a dress code, but none of the new employees are following the dress code. So that's the problem, and you want to stop it in the early stages. You want to nip it in the bud. Grammatically, the verb is nip, and to conjugate it, it's nip, nipped, nipped.
You need to nip this in the bud.
This is a great one. It's not my cup of tea. Do you know this one? This is used to say that you dislike something. Public speaking is not my cup of tea, but it's essential for my career. And remember, there are two correct contractions. It isn't, it's not. You can use either one. They hammered out the agreement. This is used to say that something is finalized. As a question, have you hammered out the terms yet? This is commonly used with agreements, proposals, and contracts. Phrase 20, we're swamped right now.
Dr. Kepner, we're swamped.
This is to say you're really busy. We've been swamped since Vanessa quit. The expression is to be swamped, so your verb is to be, and then swamped is always in the ed form. Next, we'll take that into consideration. This is to say you'll consider something. You'll consider someone's feedback, suggestion, advice, recommendation. Now, because I'm all ears, you shared a suggestion with me. You said, Jennifer, I think you should upload videos 3 times per day. I could say, thanks for your suggestion. I'll take that into consideration. Next, we need to think long term. This is used to emphasize the importance of considering future implications and considerations. I could say publishing videos 3 times per day would help my students, but I need to think long term. Is that sustainable for me? I'll become very swamped very quickly. Next, sorry, I'm tied up. This means you're busy and therefore unavailable. You could say, I wish I could help you, but I'm tied up. I'm already busy with something else and therefore unavailable. Now you can specify the something and use the preposition with. I'm tied up with the budget. Phrase 24, let's put our heads together. This is used to suggest the need for collaboration, brainstorming, or more than one opinion, because the opinion is in your head, and if you put heads together, then you have more than one opinion. If we put our heads together, I know we can nip this in the bud. And finally, phrase 25, to play devil's advocate. This is when you consider opposing viewpoints when making a decision. I could say, I think 3 videos per day is too much for me to handle, but let's play devil's advocate. So now I'm going to think about publishing 3 videos per day and think about what that would take, what my day would be like, just to see if it's possible, and that will help me make my decision. Let's keep going and you'll learn 21 advanced English words that will impress everyone. Number 1, dazzling. Dazzling. That's a fun word to say. Repeat after me, dazzling. This is an adjective that means brilliant and impressive, leaving a lasting impression. I could say, you look absolutely dazzling in that outfit. And notice how I added absolutely to make it even stronger. Or I could say, she started her presentation with a dazzling smile. So what do you think of my smile? Is it dazzling? If it is, then put dazzling in the comments, because putting it in the comments will help you remember it. Put dazzling in the comments. Number 2, caveat. Repeat after me, caveat. This is a noun and it's a warning or cautionary statement. These words will impress native speakers, but there's one caveat. There's one warning. You need to pronounce them correctly. So repeat after me, caveat. Or you could say he agreed to be interviewed with the caveat that he could review the article. Number 3, alleviate. Repeat after me, alleviate. This is a verb that means to make something negative, like a pain or a problem, less severe. For example, taking a walk can alleviate stress. It can make it less severe. Or practicing your speech beforehand, maybe for a job interview or a presentation, can alleviate your public speaking anxiety. It can make it less severe. So make sure you practice. Number 4, a fun one to say, conundrum. Repeat after me, conundrum. Conundrum. This is a noun and it's a confusing and difficult problem or question. He faced a conundrum. So notice that verb is face. You face a conundrum. He faced a conundrum about which job offer to accept. So maybe he has this job offer, but then he calls you as his friend and he says, it's my dream job, but if I accept it, I'll have to move overseas away from my family. And then you can reply back and say, well, that's a conundrum. That's a difficult problem you're facing. Number 5, frivolous. Also fun to say. Frivolous. Repeat after me, frivolous. This is an adjective that means not having any serious purpose or value. We commonly use this with money. He spends all his money on frivolous items, on items that have no purpose or value. Or you could say they argued over something frivolous, something meaningless, no purpose, no value. Hopefully you're thinking this lesson isn't frivolous, which means it does have purpose and it does provide you value. So this lesson isn't frivolous. Would you agree? Put that's right in the comments. Number 6, perplex. Repeat after me, perplex. This is a verb that means to confuse and worry someone by being difficult to understand or solve. For example, the patient's symptoms perplexed the doctors. The doctors found the symptoms difficult to understand and then solve, so it caused some worry or confusion. Or you could say, I was perplexed by these words, the words in this lesson. Notice that passive structure. I was perplexed by these words, but Jennifer helped me understand them. Hopefully you agree with that. Number 7, nostalgia. Repeat after me, nostalgia. This is a noun and it's a feeling of pleasure, but also slight sadness when you think about things that happened in the past. Some people feel nostalgia because nostalgia is a noun, so you can feel nostalgia. Some people feel nostalgia for their school days. So thinking about their school days in the past, it brings them pleasure, but a little bit of sadness. Can you relate to that? Or you could say, hearing that song again filled him with nostalgia. You can be filled with this noun, nostalgia. Number 8, ooh, this is a good one, ominous. Repeat after me, ominous. This is an adjective and it means giving the impression that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen. We commonly use this with the weather. You could look up and say, the dark clouds are ominous. So what's the bad thing that's going to happen? A severe storm. Or you could say he had an ominous feeling about the meeting. Something bad is going to happen. Maybe the client won't sign the contract or he won't get the answer he wanted. Number 9, acquiesce. Repeat after me, acquiesce, acquiesce. This is a verb and it means to agree passively. So to agree, but you don't really want to. You don't want to initially, but you eventually say, okay, I acquiesce. For example, I wanted to go to Hawaii, but my husband wanted to go to Iceland. I acquiesced. So my question for you, my smart student, is, where did I go on vacation? Did I go to Hawaii or Iceland? Put your answer in the comments, Hawaii or Iceland. Put it in the comments. Number 10, consensus. Repeat after me, consensus. This is a noun and it means general agreement among a group. Remember, to have general agreement, you don't need 100%. You need 50, 51, 55. That would be the minimum amount for a general consensus. For example, we couldn't reach a consensus. So the verb you use is to reach a consensus. We couldn't reach a consensus on where to go for vacation, Hawaii or Iceland. We couldn't reach a consensus. Or you could say there is a consensus that the proposal needs revisions. So this means that the majority of people agree that the proposal needs revisions. Number 11, itinerary. I'm always surprised when my students, even my advanced students, don't know this word because it's so commonly used. Repeat after me, itinerary. This is a noun and it's a detailed plan or route for an event or vacation. For example, have you planned your itinerary for Iceland? Because remember, I acquiesced, so I agreed with my husband who wanted to go to Iceland, even though I wanted to go to Hawaii. Did you understand that? Did you get that? So have you planned your itinerary for Iceland yet? So the itinerary would tell you what activities you're doing on each day of that trip. Or you could say, we have a very busy itinerary, all the things you have planned. Now, don't confuse this with the next word, number 12, agenda. Repeat after me, agenda. Most students know this, but don't confuse it with an itinerary, because an agenda is a list of items to be discussed at a meeting. So you can ask, what's the agenda for the meeting? Or what's the first item on the agenda? Or in emails, it's very common to send or receive an email that says, please find attached the agenda for today's conference call. Number 13, lucrative. Lucrative. Repeat after me, lucrative. This is an adjective and it means producing a great deal of profit or financial success. We use this specifically with money. You could say photography isn't lucrative. It doesn't produce a great deal of financial success, but it's my passion. Or you could say there was a general consensus, most people agree, there was a general consensus that the partnership would be lucrative, would result in money, financial success. So that's a great one to have in your vocabulary. Number 14, contingency. Do you know this one? Contingency. Repeat after me, contingency. This is a noun and it's a future event or circumstance which is possible but cannot be predicted with certainty. So it's possible but not guaranteed. Here's how this word is most commonly used. We need a contingency plan in case of an emergency. So this is a plan about a potential circumstance that's possible but not guaranteed. And the plan, the contingency plan, will tell you what to do in the event of an emergency. Or you could say, we must prepare for all possible contingencies. Number 15, tangible. Repeat after me, tangible. This is a noun and it means real, something you can touch, show, or even experience. For example, the project resulted in tangible benefits. I can show you the benefits on a chart. You can touch the benefits such as money, or you have an experience such as doing something because of those benefits. It's tangible. Or you might say, we need tangible evidence to support our claims. You need evidence that people can touch, see, or experience. It must be tangible. This is commonly used with assets because there are tangible assets such as machinery and buildings. You can touch them, you can look at them, they're real. Number 16, incentive. Repeat after me, incentive. This is a noun and it's a thing that motivates or encourages someone to do something. So for example, I need to give you and all of my students an incentive to subscribe. I need to encourage you to subscribe by providing something of value. So the fact that I upload videos every single day is your incentive to subscribe. So make sure you subscribe, like this video, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. I have other incentives for you once you subscribe. Number 17, metrics. Repeat after me, metrics. Metrics. This is a noun and it's a standard of measurement. For example, the size of your vocabulary is one of the metrics of fluency. The number of words you know, which is why I'm teaching you 21 words so you can improve this metric, this measure of performance for your fluency. As you know, on your IELTS or other language exams, they judge you on different areas. Those are the different metrics. Or if you want to improve your fluency, a good question to ask is, what are the key metrics of fluency? And that will tell you what areas to focus on. Number 18, redundant. Repeat after me, redundant. Redundant. This is a noun and it means not or no longer needed or useful. For example, some tasks have become redundant due to automation, AI, ChatGPT. Or you could say typewriters are now redundant. They're no longer used, although they were once the only device that people had to write with. So can you think of something in today's modern world that is now redundant? My example was a typewriter. Share your own example in the comments below, just for fun. Number 19, streamline. Streamline. Repeat after me, streamline. This is a verb and it means to make something faster, easier, or better. For example, online learning has streamlined education. It's made it faster, easier, better. Would you agree with that? Or you might ask in a meeting, how can we streamline our operations? How can we make our operations faster, better, easier? Number 20, glaring. Repeat after me, glaring. This is an adjective and it's when something bad is extremely obvious. It's glaring. For example, we can't hire her. She made glaring spelling mistakes in her CV. So when you look at the CV, the spelling mistakes are extremely obvious. They're glaring. So that CV is going in the garbage. Or you could say there was a glaring contradiction in his statement. The contradiction was extremely obvious. Now, do you know what a contradiction is? This is word 21, contradiction. Repeat after me, contradiction. And this is a combination of words that is nonsense because some of the words suggest the opposite of some of the others. That's a confusing definition, but listen to this simple example. She's an honest politician. Now, some people might reply back and say, an honest politician? Isn't that a contradiction? Because when you hear the word honest, an image of a politician is not what most people think of. So some people might say that the combination of words, an honest politician, is a contradiction. Here's an everyday example. You said you hate the heat, but you want to go to Hawaii. Isn't that a contradiction? Because Hawaii is very hot, but you just said you hate the heat. So that's a contradiction. Great job. Now in the workplace, natives still use casual speech. You'll learn 24 casual words you need to know. Colloquial English, also known as colloquialisms, is simply informal language used in everyday speech. This includes phrases, idioms, and expressions, and you can use these with your friends, your family, and even your colleagues and boss. As a warning, just know that these may or may not be appropriate for more formal situations. It depends on the specific situation. How does this compare to slang? Well, slang is very informal speech that is often not standard English. And slang is often viewed as unprofessional. Colloquial English, what you'll learn today is casual but friendly and natural. Number 1, let's hit the books. Do you know this one? You should, because to hit the books means to begin studying. You could say, I have a big test tomorrow, so I need to hit the books. And hopefully you're going to hit the books by watching more of my videos to help you improve your English. If you agree, put let's do it, let's do it, let's do it in the comments below.
Hit the books! Well, time to hit the books.
And number 2 is let's do it. To do something, this is a casual, friendly way of saying to complete something. But native speakers use this in many different situations. I could ask you, are you ready to leave? And then you say, yes, I'm ready. So I say, let's do it, which means let's leave. Let's complete that action. Let's do it. So let's practice this. Do you want me to teach you the next expression? If you do, again, put let's do it, put let's do it in the comments.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Number 3, yup or yuppers. Have you ever heard yuppers? Oh, this is a great one. Again, I can ask you, are you ready to leave? And you can say, yes, I'm ready to leave. Or instead of yes, to sound more casual, you can say yup or yuppers. You can put it in a full sentence, yup, I'm ready, yuppers, I'm ready, or you can just use that one word, yup, yuppers. And notice that S, yuppers, with an S. So again, question for you. Do you want me to keep teaching you natural expressions? Put yuppers with that S, put yuppers in the comments if you do.
Yuppers.
Yappers.
Yep.
Number 4, I'll see you at 8-ish. What time is 8-ish? Do you know? Adding ish to the time means around 8. So this could be 7:45 or 8:15. To sound more professional, you can say, I'll see you at approximately 8. That's the more formal way to say around, and the casual way is to add ish. Native speakers use this a lot. We'll be there soon. Well, soonish. This means in the near future, but not immediately. It's a little longer than soon. Just know that ish is not actually a word, but all native speakers understand it.
Shall we say, 8-ish?
Number 5, my bad. You know this one, right? This is used when you take responsibility or accept fault. Maybe you're in a meeting and your colleague says, the chart on page 5 is from 2023. Shouldn't it be from 2024? My bad, I'll change that ASAP. No worries.
My bad, Missy, my bad.
My bad.
I'm bad.
Our next one is, of course, no worries. You probably know this one. This means it's okay or don't worry about it. Native speakers often use this instead of you're welcome. Jennifer, thanks so much for the new lesson. You might say that. And I can reply to you and say, no worries, no worries. But we also use this to apologize. Maybe you're shopping and you accidentally hit someone with your shopping cart, and you can say, oh, I'm so sorry. And the person replies back and says, no worries.
No worries. No worries.
No worries. No worries.
Everything's all no worries, no worries.
Number 7, no big deal or no biggie. This also means it's okay, don't worry about it, no worries, or it's not significant, it's not important. So again, if you're shopping and you accidentally hit someone with your shopping cart and you say, oh, I'm so sorry, the person can reply back and say, no big deal. This is often used after an expression of gratitude to say it wasn't significant, it wasn't important. Maybe you say, wow, Jennifer, it's so nice of you to provide a free lesson PDF. Remember, you can download it in the description. And I can reply back and say, no big deal, no biggie. I'm letting you know that this wasn't a significant task for me to do, so I'm happy to do it.
All right, no big deal, no big deal.
No
No biggie.
big deal.
Number 8, 100%. This one is very trendy right now. She doesn't do her fair share of the work. 100%. This means I completely agree with you. I 100% agree with you. For pronunciation, native speakers often say 100%, 100%. You can also say 100%.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Absolutely agree, 100%.
Number 9, I'm really into yoga. What about you? What are you into? To be into something, this is when you enjoy doing something. You have a strong interest in something. This question is commonly used when you're getting to know someone. So if you're on a first date, you can ask the person, so what are you into? And he replies back and says, I love rebuilding cars. It's my passion. Just notice a verb of preference, love, is commonly used to reply to this question. So what about you? What are you into? You could say, I'm really into learning English with JForrest English. Aw, thanks so much. Notice that structure. Verb to be, I am, into, and then you have your verb with ing, learning English. If that describes you, again, put let's do it, let's keep learning, let's do it, put let's do it in the comments.
Right now, I'm into yoga.
I'm really into fashion.
Number 10, let's Uber it. What does this mean? This means let's take an Uber. Native speakers frequently turn nouns, Uber, into a verb. A native speaker would commonly say, I'll email you, I'll WhatsApp you, I'll Zoom you, using them as verbs. Remember, you have to conjugate the verb with the subject and time reference. Last night, we Ubered to the conference. Last night, we took an Uber to the conference.
I Ubered. Why'd you Uber?
I'll email you the address.
Number 11, that's wild. This is used to show surprise, amazement, or astonishment. A lot of Ubers won't accept my ride because I live outside of the city. This is true. You can reply back and say, that's wild, which means I'm surprised.
That's wild.
That's wild.
Number 12, really? With a question, really? This is also used to show surprise, amazement, or astonishment. I don't get Uber Eats. It won't come to my area. Also true. You can reply and say, really? And you can even add, that's wild. Put them both together.
Really? Really, really.
Number 13, shoot. This means ask your question. Jennifer, I have a question about number 11. Shoot. Ask me your question. Jennifer, can I ask you a question about number 5? Shoot. Yes, you can ask me your question. Number 14, give me a shout. First, notice in the last one, shoot, pronunciation, oot. This one, out, shout. Shoot, shout. This means call me or contact me. Give me a shout when you land. Give me a shout at 8-ish.
Give him a shout.
Give us a shout.
If he pops out, give me a shout.
Number 15, can you flip me the invite? To flip means to send electronically. You flip someone something, just like you send someone something. Can you flip the team, someone, the invite, something? You can also flip something to someone. Same with send something to someone. Can you flip the invite, something, to the team, someone? Number 16, now let's look at the invite. Can you flip me the invite? Invite is a shortened form of invitation. To invite is a verb. She invited the team to the party. An invitation is a noun. Have you sent out the invitations for the party? An invite is a noun. Have you sent out the invites for the party? Notice, because it's a noun, it has a singular or plural form.
I'll have to send you an invite.
I can send you an invite if you want.
Number 17, I'll flip it to you in a sec. In a sec means in a second, which is a short period of time, soon. You can say, I'll be there in a sec. You can also get someone's attention by saying, do you have a sec? Do you have a small amount of time? Maybe a few minutes in this case. And I can reply back and say, yep, yepers.
There in a sec.
Wait, you in a sec.
Oh, wait a sec.
Number 18, she's a newbie. A newbie is a new member of a team or a group. You might say, can you show Sarah how to file the reports? She's a newbie. Or your boss might say, keep an eye on the newbies while I'm gone. What about you? Are you a new member of this community? Have you recently subscribed or started watching my videos? If you have, then put I'm a newbie, put I'm a newbie in the comments. I love newbies. I'm happy to have you.
She's a total newbie.
I'm a newbie.
Sure, newbie.
Number 19, my study routine is dialed in. To be dialed in means to be fully optimized or perfected. And here, dialed in functions as an adjective. So is your study routine fully optimized, perfected? If it is, you can say, it's my study routine. It's dialed in. If not, you can say, I need to dial it in. In this case, it's the verb. I need to dial it in. I need to perfect it, optimize it.
How dialed in were you?
Number 20, I'm crushing it. To crush something means to do a great job. So if you're enjoying this video, you can say, Jennifer, you're crushing it. You're doing a great job. Do you agree? If you do, put crushing it in the comments. This is a verb, so in the past simple, you would say, I crushed the job interview. I did a great job.
I'm crushing it.
Yeah, I'm really crushing it.
Exactly. See? I'm crushing it.
Number 21, I'm loving it. You probably recognize this because of McDonald's. McDonald's slogan is I'm loving it. And notice loving it. Now, this technically breaks an English grammar rule because love is a stative verb. So you would say, I love this song, even if the action takes place right now. But McDonald's popularized this, so now it's very friendly, casual, and acceptable to say, I'm loving this song. And by putting it in the present continuous, it emphasizes that the action is taking place now.
I love it. I'm loving it.
I'm loving it.
I'm loving it.
Number 22, learning English is a piece of cake. You know this one, right? To be a piece of cake means to be very easy. Maybe learning English is a piece of cake when you have a great teacher. If you agree, you can say 100%. So put that in the comments.
It's a piece of cake. Piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake.
Number 23, we shot the breeze in the elevator. To shoot the breeze, this is to make small talk, so to have casual, lighthearted conversation. Notice those conjugations, shoot, but in the past, shot, and the past participle, shot. You might say, my neighbor and I always shoot the breeze when we take out the garbage. We see each other and we have a lighthearted conversation. We shoot the breeze. And finally, number 24, you're on fire. To be on fire, this means to perform well, to do a great job. I could say, you just added 24 common and natural expressions to your speech. You're on fire. So let's celebrate this. Put I'm on fire, I'm on fire. You just did an amazing job. Put I'm on fire in the comments. Now let's review 21 confusing words that I often hear mistakes with. First, let's review find and find out. And let's review these as a quiz. I couldn't, the file you sent. Find or find out? I couldn't find the file you sent.
I couldn't find that file you wanted.
To find, of course, is a verb and is to discover or locate something physically, physically, visually, or through searching. But think of physically. That's your key, to locate something physical. Like, I can't find my phone. It's physical. To find out, adding out makes it a phrasal verb, and the meaning is different. This is to discover information, facts, or truth, often by asking, learning, or investigating. For example, I need to find out how to update my phone. Find out is often used with the WHs, which represent who, what, when, where, why, and how. For example, we need to find out why the client didn't hire us. So we need to learn that information. There's nothing physical. It's information, it's knowledge. But if you say we need to find new clients, the clients are physical people or companies, and we need to locate them. And you often use find plus noun, clients, companies, my phone, because the noun represents something physical. Now you can say, did you find out where the conference is being held this year? Did you learn or discover that information? Did you find a hotel close to the conference? Did you locate something physical? So remember, find, locate something physical, find out, locate, or learn information. Or how about this one? Jennifer, I'm so happy I found your channel. You located my channel. So if that describes you, put that's right, put that's right in the comments. Now let's do another quiz. I couldn't, the document you sent, but I did, that the meeting was canceled. Well, one is physical and one is more information. I couldn't find the document, that's physical, but I did find out that the meeting was canceled. Now let's review, discuss, and talk. Last night I was with my friends. There's a key word there. I was talking with my friends.
I'm talking to my friends.
Now discuss, this is a verb. It means to talk about something in detail. Talk means to have a conversation. The meaning is basically the same, but grammatically you cannot say I was discussing with my friends. That's grammatically incorrect because discuss is transitive, which means it requires a direct object. I was discussing it with my friends. I was discussing the project with my friends. I was talking with my friends. So talk is intransitive. The direct object is optional. You can include it. I was talking about it with my friends. So notice, when you include the direct object, you need to include about, to talk about something. So you can say, we discussed moving abroad next year. We talked about moving abroad next year. Notice in both of these, it's discuss or talk about plus gerund, but you cannot say we discussed about moving abroad. Now you're ready for your quiz. We can, the details during the meeting, but let's just briefly now. Well, one has a direct object, one doesn't. We can discuss the details because you must discuss something, but you can simply talk. So let's briefly talk now. You don't need a direct object with talk. Let's review success and succeed. With the right mindset, anyone can in a competitive industry. Anyone can succeed.
You can succeed.
Success is a noun. It's the achievement of a goal or desired result. Succeed is a verb. It's to achieve a goal or desired result. Now, as a verb, notice succeed, that ends in ed, but that is not the past form. That's the base form. Succeed. The past is succeeded, succeeded. And then the participle is also succeeded. You cannot say, my lessons will set you up to success. That's a common mistake I hear. You have to say, my lessons will set you up for success, because success is a noun and we use for as the preposition, for something, for success. Or you can say, my lessons will set you up to succeed. So you can use the verb succeed, but it's the infinitive, so you need to succeed. Remember, success as a noun, it's a thing, but succeed as the verb is the action. I know you'll succeed. That's the verb. I know you'll achieve success. Now, success is the noun. In the sentence, grammatically, you still need a verb. So a common collocation is achieve. You achieve success. You can use both the noun or the verb to start the sentence, which is very common. Success is the result of practice, repetition, and patience. This is what I always tell my students. Now here, success to start the sentence is a noun. You could change this to the verb and say succeeding is the result of practice, repetition, and patience. So notice the sentence starts with the gerund verb, your verb in ing. Let's try another quiz. If you want to, in this industry, you'll have to define what looks like to you. Well, grammatically, your clue is that to, because it's part of the infinitive, so you know you need a verb to succeed. If you want to succeed, you have to define what success looks like to you. Now let's review vacant and available. Excuse me, is this seat? Hopefully you said available.
Is the seat available?
Vacant is an adjective. It means empty or not occupied, but it's only used for rooms, building, or properties, generally that you rent, either long-term or short-term. So think real estate hotels. For example, the apartment has been vacant since June. This means nobody has been living in the property since June. So a real estate context. Available is also an adjective. It means ready for use, accessible, or free to be used or contacted. Now, you can say the apartment has been vacant since June, but is not available to buy until August. So it's not free, it's not ready to buy until August. The hotel only has one vacant room. We better book it. So it's very commonly used, real estate, hotels. Or you can say, I can't believe there are no vacancies anywhere downtown. Do you notice anything different here? I used vacancy, which is the noun. I just used the plural form, vacancies. So this represents a space or a place available for use, and again with hotels or real estate. Outside of real estate, vacant can be used for a job position. For example, that position has been vacant for months. You will hear that, but it's probably more common to say that position has been open or unfilled for months. And just remember, it's to be vacant or available because they're adjectives. So you can ask, are there any vacant rooms this weekend? Are there any available rooms this weekend? So if you use vacant, it sounds more official or technical. If you use available, it sounds more casual and everyday. But you cannot say, I'm vacant at 3 p.m. You must use available. Or the microwave is vacant, because it's not real estate. Or this seat is vacant. Again, not real estate. You must use available to say that something is free. Here's your quiz. The hotel room is still, but I won't be to discuss the details until this afternoon. Well, it's pretty easy, right? Because when you see hotel room, you know it's vacant. I won't be available. Here's a confusing pair, electric and electrical. The company is investing in more vehicles to reduce emissions. Electric vehicles.
It's an all-electric vehicle, no tailpipe.
Remember that EV as an acronym stands for electric vehicle, not electrical, electric vehicles. Tesla is an electric vehicle. Electric is an adjective. It means powered by electricity. Electrical is also an adjective, but it's related to electricity in general. So it's systems, engineering, or parts. So you would ask someone, when are you going to buy an electric vehicle? When are you going to fix your electrical issues? Issues with the systems and electricity in general. I have an electric toothbrush, a toothbrush that runs on electricity. I have an electric toothbrush. We just installed an electric heater. That house has been vacant for years because it has serious electrical issues. So generally when you need to call a technician is for electrical issues. Or you might say, my cousin is an electrical engineer. So it's also the field of study. Here's your quiz. The hotel just installed new outlets in every room and blinds. Well, the blinds run on electricity, so they're electric blinds. You press a button and the blinds open and close. How cool is that? So the first one is electrical outlets. It's related to electricity in general, systems, parts. Now let's review realize and achieve. With the right support, you can your personal and professional goals. You can achieve.
The United States encourages you to achieve your goals.
Realize is a verb. It means to become aware of something or to understand it clearly. I just realized I left my wallet at home. Oh no. Achieve is a verb. It's to successfully reach a goal or result. She achieved her dream of becoming an electrical engineer. Now remember, achieve is also that collocation for success. She achieved success as an electric vehicle salesperson. Now this is commonly confused because it's a false friend. In English, realize does not mean achieve, but in other languages, it can mean that. If you believe it, you can achieve it. That's a common expression. Or, why can't you realize how talented you are? So in this sense, it's why can't you understand how talented you are? So use realize when talking about understanding or noticing something, like my wallet isn't in my purse. Here's a common example. Oh no, I didn't realize the deadline was today. Or he suddenly realized he forgot the required documents. So we often use this when something negative may happen. Use achieve when talking about reaching a goal. She worked hard to achieve success in her field. We finally achieved our quarterly targets. Your quiz, I didn't. How close we were to finishing until we finally, our sales goal. Pretty easy because we have goal, so you know it's achieved our sales goal. So that leaves I didn't realize, understand, or notice. Now let's review welcome and you're welcome. How about this? To paradise. Welcome to paradise.
Welcome to paradise.
Welcome is a verb. It's to greet someone in a friendly way. It's also used to say someone is accepted. You're welcome, of course, is a phrase and it's a polite reply to thank you. Thanks for the coffee. You're welcome. Just know Americans don't say thanks for the coffee, welcome, We don't say welcome as a reply to thank you. We say you're welcome. So use welcome as a greeting, not as a reply to thanks. Welcome to our lesson. This is the verb in the imperative. I'd love to welcome all my new students. Here it's the infinitive. Before she began, she welcomed all the new students. So in that case, it's the past simple. Now, what about this? You're welcome to stay as long as you want. This is not a reply to thank you. So here it's to be welcome plus infinitive. And this is used to say you're invited, you're allowed, you're permitted to do something. For example, you're welcome to stay for dinner. We have more than enough. And then the person says, oh, thank you so much for the invitation. And you say, as a reply to thank you, you're welcome. Remember at the beginning, it was welcome to our beautiful resort. So welcome, it's the verb. But then I can add on, please note that guests are welcome, because your verb needs to be conjugated, are welcome to use the pool until 10 p.m. So I'm inviting, permitting, or allowing something. Now here is the quiz with all three. Everyone, let's our new employees to the team, please remember that you to ask questions at any time, and you in advance for the free lunch today. Everyone, let's welcome our new employees. Please remember that you are welcome to ask. Did you get the correct verb? You are welcome to ask. And you are welcome in advance for the free lunch. So it's like saying, I know you're going to say, thank you, Jennifer, for the free lunch. So I'm saying you're welcome. You're welcome in advance. Now let's review sell and sail. Our team is trying to more products online this quarter. Our team is trying to sell. To is your clue because sell is a verb. It's to give something in exchange for money, of course. Sale is a noun. It's the act of selling something. It can also be a special event where things are sold at a discount. As the verb, we sell 50 different products. We sold 50 different products. So that's the past simple of sell, sold. Now you can say we made 5 sales today. As a noun, it needs to be singular or plural. And a sale represents a thing, the act of selling. We made 5 sales today. This is like saying we sold 5 items today.
Have you made any sales today?
So remember, sell is the action, sale is the thing. Every salesperson remembers their first sale. Every salesperson remembers the first time they sold something. Sell is transitive, which means it requires a direct object, which is why I said sold something. They can't just say the first time they sold. The first time they sold something. How about this one? The store is having a sale tomorrow. A sale, this is an event where items are sold at a lower price, a discount. Here's your quiz. All our inventory during the last week. The tells me you need a noun. The sale last week. We, and then verb, right? English grammar, subject, verb. We sold. Let's review tiring and tired. This has been such a week. This has been a tiring week.
This is getting tiring, Max.
Tiring is an adjective. It's causing someone to feel tired. Tired is the adjective. It's the feeling of needing sleep or rest. The meeting was really tiring. I'm so tired after that meeting because it was tiring. I'm too tired to do laundry tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. Doing chores is tiring. So you cannot say, I'm really tiring. You would say, I'm really tired because this project or this thing is tiring. Tired is the emotion you feel, and tiring is the activity or thing that causes the emotion. Now, you can use this with people and say, dealing with my new manager is so tiring. Or you can be direct and say, Sally is so tiring. Just know this is an insult to Sally, because it's like saying, Sally, dealing with you is so difficult, I become tired after. Here's your quiz. I'm way to make dinner tonight. That 3-hour workshop was so. Well, you need to attach tired to the person. I'm way too tired. The workshop, something was so tiring. It's the reason why I'm tired. Now let's review easy and simple. I saved the easy one for last, maybe, maybe not. The app is really to use. Which one? Well, both.
That was easy.
That's a trick, because grammatically and logically, you could say the app is easy to use, the app is simple to use, but the meaning is not exactly the same. There is a distinct meaning. Easy as an adjective means not difficult to do or accomplish. Simple as an adjective means not complicated. So you can think of it as basic or clear. Easy focuses on the level of effort or difficulty involved. Simple focuses on the complexity or the number of parts, the number of steps in the instructions. So you might say, the solution is simple. Just restart the system. There's only one instruction. Simple, not complex. Or can you explain this complex legal document in simple language? Simple language. In this context, only simple can be used. Don't say easy language, simple language. But you can say, you make juggling look so easy, so it doesn't take a lot of effort to do it. Now here's where native speakers use them together, and sometimes students get confused. We often say something like, losing weight is simple, but it's not easy. So something is simple, but not easy. So simple represents simplicity. So to lose weight, well, what? It's not complex, it's not complicated. Eat less, exercise more. Pretty simple, right? But is it easy? So you can talk about the lack of ease. Ease is the noun form. Well, it's not easy perhaps because you have to deal with cravings, hormones, time, energy, cost, culture, environment, which makes those two simple steps, eat less, exercise more, not easy. Now let's review your quiz. The instructions are to follow, but the task itself isn't at all. Well, instructions are simple. They're not complex. There's only 3 steps, but the task isn't easy. It requires a lot of effort. There's difficulty. Let's do something different. We'll review a news article together and you'll learn 28 everyday expressions. Our headline, rejection therapy is trending on TikTok. Here's what experts have to say about it. First of all, let's talk about trending. What do you notice about this word? It's a verb and is conjugated in the present continuous. So we have our subject, rejection therapy is singular, it. It is our verb to be conjugated with our subject, it. It is trending. So to trend, and then you add your ing because it's in the continuous. This word is commonly used as a noun, a trend. So we still need that verb to be. So we have subject, rejection therapy is a trend on TikTok. So that's the noun form. You could also use it as the adjective form, which is trending, and you still need the verb to be because it would be to be trending, to be trending. So rejection therapy is trending on TikTok. All three are very common. You'll commonly see it as the noun form. So the noun is a trend, a trend. Rejection therapy is, you still need that verb to be, is a trend on TikTok. There's also an adjective form, which is trendy, to be trendy. So you still need that verb to be. Rejection therapy is trendy on TikTok. So there are three different forms. And just remember, as the verb, you need to conjugate it. With a noun, you need the article. And with the adjective trendy, you still need the verb to be, which would match the subject, singular or plural. Here's what experts have to say about it. So this expression here, what someone has to say, is used to say, here's what experts think or believe about it. I could say, here's what my students have to say about, and then something specific, this YouTube channel about JForrest English. And then my students would simply share what they think or believe. So this could be done in the comment section, or I could share this as testimonials on my website, for example. It's an amazing channel. I love it. I learned so much. Hopefully positive things. So if you have positive things to say, well then put that's right, that's right. If you agree with this, put that's right in the comments. Let's continue on and learn about rejection therapy. Out of the crowd, Michelle Panning, who I assume is this woman in the picture here, Michelle Panning picked her target, an unsuspecting man she didn't know, and asked him an unusual question. Okay, so here, out of the crowd. This sounds like Michelle was in a busy place where there is a crowd. A crowd is a large number of people in a specific area. So at a mall, there could be a crowd, many people in one area. So out of the crowd. So selecting one person, pick, select, it means the same thing. You take one out of the crowd. So that's what this out of the crowd comes from. You could say Michelle Panning picked her target out of the crowd. You could say that as well. Let's look at unsuspecting. This is an adjective. The noun is a man, and then you add your adjective. So the order is article, adjective, noun. Now, when you add an adjective, you might have to modify your article. So in this place, we have to add an instead of a man, because now it's unsuspecting, which starts with a vowel sound. An unsuspecting man. So if this man is unsuspecting, it means he's not aware or not prepared for something that's going to happen. In this case, he's not aware or prepared to be picked out of a crowd and asked an unusual question. I could say my unsuspecting students have no idea there's going to be a quiz today. Now, that's not true. I don't have a quiz for you, so don't worry. But you would be unsuspecting. I know, but you're not aware and not prepared. So an unsuspecting man she didn't know and asked him an unusual question. So, of course, unusual means one that isn't commonplace, isn't expected. So this adjective pairs well with unsuspecting. Her hands shook. So when you're nervous, your hands can shake. Now, this story is told from the perspective of the past. You'll notice here we have picked, didn't, asked. So that's why this is also in the past simple. It's an irregular past. So we have shake, shook, shook. Her hands shook as she pointed her phone camera on herself. So she directed her phone camera towards herself. So she pointed her phone camera on herself. You could also say towards herself, on herself. They're the same. And if you ever wonder why sometimes you hear a teacher say toward, or a native speaker say toward, and other times you hear someone say towards, just know they're both acceptable, and I use them interchangeably myself. So here's the unusual question that she asked an unsuspecting man who she picked out of the crowd. Can I borrow $100, please? Okay, so unusual question. She asked. No, he said. They both smiled and went their separate ways. I wonder how I would respond in that situation, because you have to remember, in this situation, you're unsuspecting. So you have no idea that this random stranger, so someone you don't know, if you really want to emphasize the lack of a relationship, you can call them a random stranger. A random stranger asked me for $100 today at the mall. And you might add on, it was completely out of the blue. Do you know this idiom? To be out of the blue. And then you can add completely to intensify it. And remember, our story is in the past simple. So that's why I have to be as it was, the past simple. It was completely out of the blue. So if something happens out of the blue, it means it happens suddenly, unexpectedly. They both smiled and went their separate ways. So if two people go their separate ways, it means that they just continue on with their individual lives, not together. The structure here is to go, so you conjugate your verb go, in this case, the past simple, and then you need a possessive pronoun, there, and then the word separate ways, separate ways. So let's say you're traveling and you take a tour and you meet someone else on that tour, and that person's a stranger, but then you get to know each other, you chat, and you spend the day together. But then at the end of the day, you go your separate ways. It means you continue on with your individual lives, no longer together. We met on a tour and spent the day together, but then we went our separate ways. Panning was not dejected. So dejected is an adjective that means sad, disappointed, even hopeless. So if you ask someone for something and they reject that and say no, you might feel sad, disappointed, or even hopeless. But Panning was not dejected. I did it. So it sounds like, in fact, she was celebrating. I did it. She told the camera as she walked away. Panning was not really looking for $100. Remember, she asked an unsuspecting man out of the crowd an unusual question. She asked him for $100 and he said no, but she was not dejected. Panning was not really looking for $100, and it didn't matter what the stranger's response was. So here, now they're referring to him as a stranger. And remember I said if you add the word random, it sounds even stronger. A random stranger. It emphasizes the lack of a relationship between the people. What the stranger's response was. So here the response belongs to the stranger, which is why it's possessive. The feet was asking the question in the first place. So this is the concept of rejection therapy, to purposely be rejected. The noun feat means something difficult to achieve, similar to a challenge. Notice the pronunciation is exactly the same as feet, eat, so it's that long E sound. The feet, eat. The feat, the challenge, was asking the question in the first place. You could say learning English is a feat. Remember, it's a noun, so you need this article. In this case, there's only one, the feat, the challenge, but here you're just referring to it as a feat in general. So learning English is a feat, but it's easier with a great teacher. Hopefully you agree with that, and hopefully I'm that great teacher for you. So put that's right in the comments. She didn't, so she asked him an unusual question. She did it in the name of rejection therapy. So in the name of is the reason why the person did it. She did it in the name of rejection therapy, a popular trend. So notice here that we're using the noun form. You know it's a noun because of the sentence structure. We have an article, and articles are only used with nouns. A trend, a popular trend. So popular is the adjective that describes the noun. A popular trend on social media that encourages people to ask strangers. How could we modify this to make it sound even stronger? To ask random strangers. That isn't required. It's just an option to modify it. To ask strangers, people you do not have a relationship with, you do not know. Odd requests. Odd is another word for unusual. So not typical, not common, not expected. To ask odd requests, unusual requests that will most likely get a no in response. The point is to face the initial fear that may arise in anticipation of a likely rejection or another negative reaction. This is really interesting because notice this word here, in anticipation of a likely reaction. This means that the fear happens before the action. The fear happens before you ask the person for $100. The fear happens when you think about asking the person for $100 in anticipation of a likely rejection. You can say in anticipation of something, or you could say in preparation for, in expectation of. So just notice if you use preparation, you prepare for something. So you keep that preposition for, but all of them use in. You could say we hired additional staff, so more people, additional staff in anticipation of crowds. So again, you do this before the crowds, before the actual day. It's possible that there are no crowds on that specific day and you hired additional people for no reason. That's absolutely a possibility. Or she prepared additional slides in anticipation of, this needs to be the plural. So in anticipation of questions, because it's more than one question. If you had the singular, it's possible, but you would need an article in anticipation of a question, but that's one question. It sounds better just using it the plural because that means questions in general. So again, she doesn't know that there are going to be questions. It's in preparation for, expectation of, in anticipation of. Let's continue. It's like a form of exposure therapy. So doing this, the concept of rejection therapy is like a form. So like means is similar to a form of exposure therapy. And now they're defining what exposure therapy means because this isn't common knowledge for the average person, in which you gradually means slowly and incrementally over a period of time. So gradually expose yourself to a situation you fear. So if you are afraid of heights, you might gradually, slowly expose yourself to higher and higher situations where you go higher and higher. And it could be a good exercise. So it means rejection therapy, and rejection therapy, it could be a good exercise for someone with lower levels of anxiety, looking to feel a little more comfortable with rejection. So based on what you've learned so far, what do you have to say? Remember, what do you think, believe? What do you have to say about rejection therapy? So you can share whatever opinion or commentary you would like, or you can simply choose one of these two options. Which best describes you? Let's go. Let's do it. Let's put ourselves in situations where we are going to be rejected on purpose. Let's go. Option 1. Or option 2, no way. I'm not asking strangers random, unusual questions. Which describes you? 1 or 2? Share that in the comments. But there are also precautions to keep in mind to make sure the interactions are done safely. We commonly use this in the phrase as a precaution. As a precaution, and then you list something that you do or someone else did to be cautious. She brought additional copies of her presentation. So you don't need this phrase. You can remove it from the sentence and it's grammatically correct. She brought additional copies of her presentation. Adding it simply gives you the reason why she did the action. As a precaution. Now, as the adverbial phrase, you can have at the beginning separated by a comma, or you can have it directly at the end. She brought additional copies of her presentation as a precaution. Now, you could also use the verb to be and then an adjective. To be cautious, to be careful, to be safe. They all mean the same thing. To be safe, she brought additional copies of her presentation. And the same thing applies. You can have it at the very beginning or you can have it at the end. She brought additional copies of her presentation to be safe. For 30 days this summer, Panning did a daily challenge on her pursuit of rejection. So her pursuit of, this comes from the verb to pursue. So she did this to pursue rejection, but now it's just one's pursuit of something. This was popularized in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. So it means the character is pursuing, to pursue happiness, but it's just referring to it as a something, the pursuit of happiness, or in this case, rejection. So she did a daily challenge on her pursuit of rejection and posted it to TikTok. She asked strangers, again, what's that word we can add? Not required, but we can add it to modify strangers. She asked random strangers for hugs, clothing stores, if she could be a live mannequin. Oh, a mannequin is the lifelike model who displays the clothes, like whatever static position a mannequin would be in. So she wanted to wear the clothes and be a mannequin in the window, but it's not plastic, it's a real person. That's pretty funny, actually. So notice the pronunciation, mannequin, mannequin. She asked a mattress store if she could take a nap. So you can say take a nap, or what's the other verb you can use? Have. You can use take or have. There's no difference. I took a nap this afternoon. I had a nap this afternoon. So it's a very short sleep, 20 minutes, 30 minutes perhaps. But remember, nap is a noun, so this article is required. If she could take a nap in a display bed, so one of the beds that you see when you walk into the store, it's on display. So it's a display bed. So here, display functions as the adjective. So you can say this bed is on display. It's available for you, for anyone to see, to test in a display bed. And she asked a sandwich shop if she could go behind the counter to make her own sandwich. At the beginning of the challenge, Panning felt she had to hype herself up. So if you hype yourself up, it means that you purposely try to get yourself excited or energized because you don't feel that way now. So before you go to the gym, for example, you might have to hype yourself up because you actually want to stay home. So you have to energize yourself, excite yourself, hype yourself up to do the action. Or before you ask your boss for a promotion because you have a lot of fear, you have to hype yourself up. You have to energize yourself and get yourself in a more positive state. Notice that this preposition up is required. So to hype herself up, or you could say to energize herself, motivate herself, encourage herself. And we're using the reflexive pronoun in both cases because it's the same as the subject. She had to hype herself up. She had to energize herself and brace herself. So same thing. It's still reflexive, but with a different verb, to brace. When you brace for something, you prepare yourself for something negative and brace herself for the answer she thought would come because she was trying to get rejected on purpose. But by the end of the 30 days, remember, this is how she felt at the beginning. But by the end of the 30 days, she said she felt more comfortable with approaching and asking strangers questions. So notice here, we have the ing for both approaching and asking. Why? Because we have this with. More comfortable. Even if you didn't have the with, you would still say she felt more comfortable doing something. The with really isn't necessary. She felt more comfortable approaching. You feel more confident speaking English compared to 1 year ago. She felt more comfortable with approaching and asking strangers. What type of strangers? Random strangers questions. Now that you better understand the concept of rejection therapy, what do you have to say about it? Has your answer changed from before? Option 1, let's go. I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to be a live mannequin in a store window. Or no way am I doing any of this. So which best describes you? Put your answer in the comments. And now what I'll do is I'll read the article from start to finish. And this time you can focus on my pronunciation. Rejection therapy is trending on TikTok. Here's what experts have to say about it. Out of the crowd, Michelle Panning picked her target, an unsuspecting man she didn't know, and asked him an unusual question. Her hands shook as she pointed her phone camera on herself. "Can I borrow $100, please?" she asked. "No," he said. They both smiled and went their separate ways. Panning was not dejected. "I did it," she told the camera as she walked away. Panning was not really looking for $100, and it didn't matter what the stranger's response was. The feat was asking the question in the first place. She did it in the name of rejection therapy, a popular trend on social media that encourages people to ask strangers odd requests that will most likely get a no in response. The point is to face the initial fear that may arise in anticipation of a likely rejection or another negative reaction. It's like a form of exposure therapy in which you gradually expose yourself to a situation you fear, and it could be a good exercise for someone with lower levels of anxiety looking to feel a little more comfortable with rejection. But there are also precautions to keep in mind to make sure the interactions are done safely. For 30 days this summer, Panning did a daily challenge on her pursuit of rejection and posted it to TikTok. She asked strangers for hugs, clothing stores if she could be a live mannequin, a mattress store if she could take a nap in a display bed, and a sandwich shop if she could go behind the counter to make her own sandwich. At the beginning of the challenge, Panning felt she had to hype herself up and brace herself for the answer she thought would come. But by the end of the 30 days, she said she felt more comfortable with approaching and asking strangers questions. Do you want me to make more lessons just like this? If you do, then put more in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have another lesson I know you'll love. Make sure you watch it right now.